superstar.
It wasn't until after college was when I decided to start DJing. I was working at Southwestern Bell off Westheimer, and I just woke up one day and basically told my friends, hey, I want to be a DJ. And we went to Guitar Center. Like, we woke up one day, me and Andrea, and just took off walking down here, which used to be Guitar Center right here, but it's, I don't know what this is now. Oh, it's an AutoZone. But Guitar Center has moved. Went to Guitar Center and just purchased a Funkmaster Flex starter kit with these 2 turntables and this like really cheap 2-channel mixer. And that was how I got started. It just came to me like in a dream. We are headed to 7979 Westheimer, where it all began, living myself along with my 2 besties, Tia and Andrea. We used to be here, it went down. We would just have these crazy ass house parties, like to where people would just crash out in our living room and eat dry pasta. My homeboy did that one time. So I didn't know really what I was doing. It was just like I had a couple of records. That was when records were, being used. And then, I just had a couple of records and just thought I was rocking out. The apartment was huge because it was 3 bedrooms. So we had everybody wilding out in that bottom living room and the front patio part. And my other friends lived in here. But yeah, at that time, everybody was living on Westheimer. It was safe. Memories. This is our house right here. Oh, look at all these Christmas lights. But yeah, 2901, that was our apartment number. That's where it all started. When I first started DJing, of course, well, I didn't know anything about it, and really, I was the only female in Houston at the time that was DJing. I believe it was only one more female, Lady D, I believe her name was, but to my knowledge, there was only DJ EQ, who was from Houston, but she moved to LA, to pursue her dream. So, like, I didn't know of anybody else pursuing that. So, I didn't know what to do really. So I started off like DJing at, family and friends' house, and Seven to this day, that's my brother for life. But he used to have these block parties for his birthday. And so I was like, yo, one day, this year, let me go in and DJ. And I would, DJ in the garage in front of everybody. They really didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew that 2 songs had to blend together. So that was probably, that was playtime for me. It was a hobby at that time. So I was working at AT&T, and my friend at the time, that was my co-worker as well, he's deceased now, rest in peace, Ken. He basically was like, I was coming up with DJ names, I was still playing around. I would throw these house parties at the house, and I would just invite my co-workers. Those were my first guinea pigs, and they would just come over to the apartment, and I would just rock out. So we about to pull up on Southwestern Bell. It used to be Southwestern Bell. Now it's AT&T. And actually, this is where, like, I would be working right here, and I would tell all of my people that, yo, I'm about to start DJing, and they thought I was crazy. But I used to run the boards, so, what I would do was I would invite all of my people that I really messed with at the company over to the house for the house parties. So they were my first, I guess you would say, fans. So that's pretty cool. So one day he was like, yo, you should come up with the DJ name. What is that going to be? Why don't you be, DJ Lola Falana? or Lois Lane. I was like, I'm not trying to be a superhero, you know. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with my email address that I used in college. And so my email address was Supastar, and I just later on in my career dropped the ER and added the A for branding purposes. At the time, Poetry Lounge had really just started, and my boyfriend at the time was doing poetry at Pisano's. So I asked Seven again, hey, you know, put me in rotation, and you know, put me in rotation in the club. He was like, are you ready for that? I was like, I don't know. So that was like one of my first gigs. Every summer, Fundy, Nike Pro City League had, they had these Pro-Am games. And one of my co-workers at Southwestern Bell at the time, who used to play, was like, Soup, we looking for a DJ, this would be great exposure, you know, do this. So for a long time, I DJ'd those basketball games where all the NBA players that lived here actually played. And that was like one of my first, I thought, big events, because, you know, here I am just starting to DJ, and I was DJing at Fundy, and everybody used to come to those Pro-Am games. And I was going up to the radio station and standing there watching GT DJ, and that's who, you know, really, you know, was like, hey, you can come up here and watch me DJ. Life just really took its toll, which was strange, and I was married. My husband at the time, he didn't come help me with my equipment. So I was like, yo, you know, I gotta haul all this equipment out, because I was used to him helping me. Got home to the house, and he was like laid out on the couch. And basically he wasn't feeling well. He ended up going to the emergency room that night, and like by the end of the week he didn't make it out. So here I was trying to pursue, you know, my dream. I now had to make like one of the hardest decisions in my life, you know, and here I am like a widow with a 2-year-old trying to DJ and do all this stuff. And I just got to a real dark period in my life. A month before that, I had received a call from DeVal Simmons, who was the youth pastor at the time at St. John's. And he was like, yo, we're looking for something different and radical for the kids downtown, you know, and we thought of you as DJing. So I was like, cool, you know, I think that'll be cool. But I don't know anything about hip hop gospel. I was like, what am I gonna play? You know, I didn't think nothing of that at the time. And that was when all that took place with my husband getting sick. And after that, I just kind of went into like a shock. And I was like, what is my purpose really in life? You know, why did everything just stop so abruptly? And that was when I just started praying through my pain, which was, you know, I always had a relationship with God, but never really had a relationship with God until that happened. And that was when I really had my wake-up call. Ended up, you know, DJing at St. John's downtown, and that was just when the doors just started opening, because I was DJing for kids, and I knew that the youth was somewhere in my pipeline with my destiny, but I didn't know what it was. And so it started coming to me that DJing was my vehicle. While I was DJing at St. John's, when I was praying for my purpose and all that, I basically just started getting all these gigs out of nowhere. And I got a call to DJ for Solange for her son's, like at the time, he was turning 3-year-old birthday party. And I thought, oh man, that's some big shit. Excuse my language. Yeah. And I was like, man, so that was pretty cool. And from that, I was DJing at Mac and Saks, those kind of things. And I also was DJing at clubs. I had to raise a 2-year-old daughter by myself, and I just didn't know what to do. Eventually, I pushed through that. I ended up getting a job, and I was still DJing at the same time. So I just went full force into grind mode. I indulged myself. I took any and every gig, paid, non-paid, you name it, baby shower, club, bar mitzvah. I don't even want to say some of the things. I just DJ'd everything and I possibly could. I ended up getting a job, and I was there at EBS for 7 years. That company really treated me well. I ended up meeting some of the best people, but I knew that it was something greater. My homegirl called me and was like, yo, you know, BET is here. I think you should go try out. I was like, girl, I'm not going, I'm scared. You know, well, I didn't say I'm scared, but in my head, I was saying I'm scared to go. And she was like, well, let's just, you know, pray over the phone. If you feel good about it, cool. If not, then don't go. So after we got off the phone, I ended up sitting there at work, and I kept hearing this voice like, oh, you'll be stupid if you don't go. You better go, girl, you know. So I ended up leaving work. I told my coworker, yo, cover for me, I'm about to go. She was like, yeah, go. Left, get up there. I was the only female there, and it was the live tryouts. And I was so freaking scared. I ended up, you know, making it through the first round, got to the second round, and basically a fellow DJ was like, oh, well, of course you was gonna make it because you got titties. And so I was like, man, so I mean, you name it, I've heard it. I get it. You know, females in a male dominating industry is really challenging, but you gotta have that tough skin, and it took me a long time to get it, right? So anyway, I just kind of looked at it and was like, okay, whatever. Get to the next round, and it was the actual TV show, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't even know what I was in for. I ended up, you know, going inside, and there was Kid Capri, Victor Duplay, and DJ Mars, and they was like, yo, you know, what you gonna do? I was like, I don't know. You know, they was like, well, shoot, okay, you got a nice mile, do something. I was like, well, okay. They was like, well, you have 2 minutes to rock out. So I was like, damn, they had this big clock right there. And I was like, 2 minutes? Like, a song is like, shoot, you get to the first verse in 2 minutes. So I was like, dang. So I just put my head down. I just went to work. This is all on wax and vinyl. You know, no technology back, you know, it wasn't that far away, but shoot, in this DJ industry, at one point, if you used controllers and CDJs, you was frowned upon. So I was rocking on these decks, and I was like, oh shit. So I did this 2-minute mix. I looked up at the clock was up, the time had ran out, and I was like, oh. And when I opened my eyes, I was like so relieved that I conquered my fear. I didn't even know what they were gonna say. I didn't care what they said. I was just happy that I got through that mix. I just wanted to get off the stage. And when I opened my eyes, they were standing up giving me a standing ovation. And I was like, oh man, I was like, what is happening? And basically they said, you were the only DJ that came out here and really did what you're supposed to do for a party. We wasn't into all that scratching and extra stuff, but you carried it like a party. And so from that point on, other doors started opening. Even though I got eliminated pretty early, at the time I was upset, but later on I saw that every opportunity is an opportunity. You don't lose in this game, you just fail better. And I was just like, ah. But from that point on, you know, different things just started happening. And from there, I was like Smirnoff ambassador. I was still DJing in different clubs. Like, I've seen so many clubs change names here. I had an other side of DJing because I was still DJing at St. John's and DJing at different church functions. But I always had something in my head that I needed to accomplish. So after my job gave me a leave of absence, you know, for a year, I took that year off, and I just had that time to really think about things and started DJing and doing things. So I ended up quitting, and when I quit my job, I ended up taking all of my 401k out, and I ended up opening up Superstar Spin Academy. For me, it's been a great roller coaster ride because I was able to accomplish something that was visualized in my head. But you know, sometimes it gets a little hard and cumbersome because you don't really have a format or a shell to go by. So all the stuff that happens is basically you have to create it yourself. So it's a good reward, and so there you have the birth of Superstar Spin Academy. So from there, I ended up, really trying to really take my career to the next level and how I could brand Superstar Spin Academy. Everything was going real well. Even though I had some yucky times, I still was able to accomplish a lot of things. From the BET, I actually ended up DJing for the NBA All-Star Jam session. I was the first female to do that. That means my check came from the NBA. And from that point on, I mean, you name it, when things came to the city, when BET came to the city, when these different celebrities come to the city, you name them, I've done their parties, and I've been grateful. But the one that sticks out the most was when I DJ'd for Jay-Z and Beyonce for their after party. And I thank you to my Connect, you know who you are out there. I love y'all to death. But when I got that call, I didn't even know it was a call until I didn't even know who I was DJing for. I just thought that it was just an after party. And that was, and still is, like one of my top, number one actually, my top two, on my resume. As I sit and reflect on my whole career, I have been very blessed and very grateful from where I have come from and actually to where I'm going. This year alone has been real difficult for me. I almost lost the school. I've had loss, in my body. I've had a stalker. I've actually had to grow up this year. And so going into my next year, as we are celebrating my birthday, I am taking things slower, being more aware, and cherishing each day as it comes, because tomorrow is not promised, and who knows what the future holds.
Players wanna know who you are when you're coming down like a superstar.